in between that, I have to do the character work, and that's our burden as filmmakers, is that, you know, as you're running out of the burning building, you want to convey something about the character. And the format of television is about characters. It's, you know, if you guys connect with the characters, you'll stay and watch the, you know, episodes. So it's a beautiful thing that we can say, hey, this whole episode is about this character. We learn about Djimon's character, his history of this, you know? And so what I would be reduced to a line or a moment in a movie, you could do a whole episode on. So it was very freeing and a beautiful thing. I actually really loved it.
Yeah. Part of the piece mentioned that this was originally designed to be a close-ended 10-episode series. When did you and Blake have conversations about expanding it, and what were those conversations like?
Want to take it?
Yeah, we met last summer as Wayward Pines was seeming to find its audience, and we were just humbled with the response it got. We first asked, is this something that we should do? Should we continue this story? Should we just walk away from it? So we sat in Philly for a couple of days, and we asked a lot of hard questions. We thought, what is the end game here? We can't just walk away from this without doing our due diligence. And we can't go forward without saying we're going to make this a compelling continuation of season 1. So we sat for 2 or 3 days and came up with a storyline and an end game for Wayward Pines that got us very excited and made us want to continue.
Jason and Djimon, what's it like to jump into a world as rich and, frankly, kind of confusing as Wayward Pines?
Well, it's like I like to explain it. It's like a roller coaster with a twist at every corner. It's one of those roller coasters you get on and you don't like necessarily, but you stop the machine. It's just, you know, continuously going. That's the world they've created. I think it's an amazing world. It certainly gives you, you can really stretch your imagination with this.
Yeah, Jason, what about you? What was it like jumping into to the world of Wayward Pines?
Well, I didn't watch the first year because for that very reason. When they talked, everybody decided to do it. I thought that it was best that the character was experiencing everything as it happened. And I think in that sense, the audience members, the people that really watched and liked it last year, are going to be interested to continue with the characters they invested in. And if you've never seen it, you should be in this guy Theo's shoes, which is what I wanted to do. And you know, John and I were both talking. It's rare that these days, you know, with movies, which is really what I've made, that you get to force yourself into being in the present moment. And you really are when you're in this extended form of narrative, this kind of storytelling. And especially with Wayward Pines, where there's going to be surprises every week that you don't know about. It really forces you to invest in that moment. And I think that that's really engaging storytelling. And at the same time, that's the best kind of acting, you know, that you hope to try to do.
Yeah, on the first season, Terrence, when we had the table read, Terrence didn't want to know what the secret was, and he ran out of the room, and I was like, Terrence, you're the one that knows. Everybody else doesn't know. He's like, no, and he ran out, he had a bag of Doritos, he ran out of my house, and I was like, where are you going? It was like, but the instinct is to you know, to have this is the beauty would be of the format, is that he doesn't know, right? So we're recording you as he's like asking these desperate questions about the situation, and it's genuine confusion. It's a beautiful thing, and that's what's funny. It was like if the people that knew weren't asking, and the people that didn't want to know, it would have been perfect. But it was always the flip.
Yeah. Well, it's curious too, because you guys did reveal a lot about what Wayward Pines was last year, and for Theo, that's got to be new information as well. Is there a learning curve for Theo, knowing that the audience already knows as much as they do know?
There's definitely a learning curve for Theo. And it's interesting, I didn't know that you go ahead and watch season 1. I love that. It's great.
Well, I was the only one.
Well, the basic premise is so fun. We were joking just now in an interview, because the premise, you know, because there are this many people asleep, we would always be like, you could wake up anybody, and what is their reaction to the weirdness of what's happening and what they're told, and can they handle it, or what's the lie being told to this particular person or that particular person, and
Yes.
yeah, yes, exactly. You know, some of them are like, yeah, you're here on a business trip, and didn't you know, whatever it is that's being told. I remember us talking through, who could we wake up? Who could we wake up? We were like, we should wake up Ludacris. What would Ludacris say? Wayward Pines. Just having fun with that.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Jason, what stuck out to you about this character of Theo? Why did you want to sign on and play this guy?
Well, it was leap year, so I had to go to work. We know that. It was just to play. It had been a while since I'd really done something with any meat, and to have a character that was forced to be in that primal place, which were always characters that interested me, where their decision were going to define who they were one way or the other, and to be in something so cinematic, and so long range, with someone who's struggling with what their past was, even if their past existed, and what is the present, what is the future. As I said, that's a very interesting acting challenge, and everybody involved, really wanted to make this really long-form movie and improve upon this great beginning that they'd already done. And then they brought in so many good actors, and there's a lot of good young actors in this too. So the whole package was interesting.
Yeah. Is he forming alliances? Is he out on his own? What's the kind of his journey in season 2?
You'd have to ask these guys. I get a script a couple days in advance.
He doesn't read the script.
Yeah. No. At this point, I haven't even finished 2 episodes, so I think he's very much a loner in the sense that he doesn't believe any of this is happening, as I don't think any of you would if someone told him what he's been told. And I think that's the interesting way to play it so far. But he's obviously going to have to make connections. At one point, you have to accept where you are and you're alive, and what do you do with that? And I think that's what's soon to come.
Yeah, I mean, we can just jump and tell a tiny bit about him. Yeah. Jason plays a surgeon, and in Wayward Pines, where there's only a handful, this room of people left on the planet, he was woken up for a specific reason, but it quickly becomes apparent that a person that can take care of all of us is a very, very powerful person, and it upsets the kind of balance and order that's going on in the town. And you started to realize, wow, if one of us was an amazing surgeon, and we have to make sure that everybody in this room stays alive, that person might be the most important person in the town. And now what? Now what do we do?
I know it's crazy to ask about time in the show, because time is always moving, but is there a time jump between the seasons? When we saw Charlie's character walk out, can you say kind of where we pick up in the timeline?
When Charlie's character woke up at the end of season 1, in the hospital there in the last episode, it was about 3 years after the Abbeys invaded the town. So we pick up now just a couple months after that point in time.
Djimon, what can you tell us about CJ Mitchum? Who is this guy? How does he fit into the world?
Well, CJ Mitchum, interestingly, I'm at conflict with CJ Mitchum as well, because I'm not quite sure where he fits in, because I think he feels like humanity is pretty much doomed, and that the new generation existing is pretty much the Abbeys. And so at the same time, he's kind of like, feels like we need to surpass our existence on this is the turn of the Abbeys.
How much did the producers tell you about your character? How much did you want to know?
Well, you know just enough as far as the description of the character, but I think the rest of it, you kind of like, you learn as you go, because you can't fathom, you can't take in so much meaningful about the world in which you exist, and that world in itself, each moment is so overwhelming that trying to comprehend this one story versus the next series. It's overwhelming. So I just sort of organically stay with the moment.
His understanding of the state of the world beyond Wayward Pines. We're going to check in with him in season 2. But I mean, that's one of the fun things about this season, is that I'm 95% sure I'm not going to write more books in this series than I've done. So it's fun to continue to explore this world in a different medium.
Knight, I know you directed the pilot episode last year. Are you going to be directing any more episodes?
You know what? We have a bunch of amazing directors that way, including David, who did the first episode, really cinematic. And you know, this is one of the great benefits of doing TV for me. This is a very selfish thing I'm about to say. It's making films in Philadelphia once every 2 years is very freaking lonely. It's like, it's just a lonely thing. I write it in my room, and we all get together for a few weeks, and then I'm alone with the editor, and I want to strangle the editor by the end of the 7 months, and then I go alone in my room again for another 7 months, and that's my life, you know. And this is an amazingly collaborative and beautiful medium, and it's an honor to work with all the wonderful directors and writers. And you know, we all get on the phone and we talk, and like the script comes in, and then we have our meetings about it, all the four of us, and we talk with the writers and say, you know, this is where Djimon's character is going to go, because we know the end of everything, and we want to make sure don't do that there. Just wait for 4 episodes to do that. All that structural stuff is so fun. But working with the directors, like for example, like David, so we had a story meeting, a style and substance meeting about how to shoot the episode. So I'll say, you know, use framing, you know, to show isolation. Don't use this thing like, you know, these are all technical things that might bore you guys. But like, you know, when you're shooting like 2 cameras, they sometimes use a second camera, which we'll call the B camera, is that they just shoot it to get another angle. And that B camera is almost always compromised, right? So if this is, your A camera is on Djimon, and that's the one that's you know, exactly calibrated with the right lens and the right distance and making the right move. The B camera is over here just getting something else, right? And it's just to have something else to cut with. And for me, this is always a compromise shot. This is always not the right lens, not the right position, because it really actually wants to be here, or it wants to be here, and it can't because the A camera is moving. So a lot of times what you watch, this is really technical stuff. If I'm boring, you can just walk out.
I feel like we're getting a great clinic. It's really fantastic.
When you watch television, a lot of times, or movies sometimes, that B camera, what you're feeling is a compromised, generalized visual. That's not exactly what the character's feeling. It's not exactly what's going on in that moment. And you unconsciously, you kind of sit back a little bit. You generalize. You're as an audience member, you're going, okay, I'm not sure if Djimon's character is feeling intense because this is now an obtuse angle, which is now diminishing from his feeling, but it's the B camera. So I would say to the directors, and I said, you know, that B camera, I know we have to make our schedule. I said, but don't make that. You know, that's a critical thing. If it's not there, turn that camera off. Like, I know the studio hates me saying this, but like, you know, we want real cinema. Say what you want to say. We're making photographs, right? Where these two, how are they in the frame together? Are we favoring Djimon? Are we favoring Jason? Does it go from favoring Jason to Djimon? Those are all critical things that underline what they're doing, and the camera operator's dancing with them at the exact time, because Jason may do an angry take. You got to dance with him. How can the B camera, you know what I mean? And look, when you're doing a big action scene like, you know, Braveheart or something, and 12 cameras are rolling, you're catching mayhem, and that is actually accurate, right? You're catching like, there's 12 cameras rolling, and you're catching the mayhem of everything, or Gladiator, and... Stop. So, but when you're doing something intimate like this, you can tell when you've betrayed, I mean, for me, you know, when like, you can literally flip on a screen, watch a television, just any show, just turn on and go, that was the A camera, that was the B camera, just pause. And you can tell, you know, one was done with intention and one wasn't. So those kind of conversations of integrity, and they get so hyped, like the DP and the directors get so hyped when they hear us talking like this, bring cinema. So we don't want this to feel general in any way, and the same thing with their acting. I mean, I've been watching the dailies, these guys are, doing incredibly delicate, you know, stuff when it's just internal working. It's like, don't, you know, in film acting you go, don't show, don't do that, all right? Let us find it, you just think the thoughts, and oftentimes because you're moving so fast in television, there's so much, they show a lot in the acting, it's showy acting, and if you keep on going to like soap opera, that's all show, there's nothing internal going on. Oh my God, you slept with my neighbor, you know, all that stuff. It's really big stuff. You know, you want to get to that complex ambiguity stuff, and that's why we're just, you know, one of the things Wayward Pines is our aspiration as a group is that we make and they basically make a TV show, but make it as if we're making an independent film with that level actors, that level, directors, cinematographers, and so that was the aspiration.
I'm curious for the actors. Yeah, that's great. For you guys, what's it like working with a guy like Knight? Because clearly he's so detail-oriented and he's got such a passion for it. How does that affect your job and your role on the show?
I was about to say that.
Yes.
I try not to dive into his brain. Yeah, it's exciting. Obviously, you heard firsthand, how excited he is about the visual and all that, and so the same way he's excited about the stories and yeah.
And 3.5 weeks in, I am still in episode 1. That is your answer.
Ashwin, we've got 2 new faces here, but can you tell us who else we can expect in Wayward Pines this year? There's some other new characters that have been announced already.
Yeah, well, we have some, returning characters as well. We have, Carla coming back, we have Melissa Leo coming back, Terrence is coming back, Shannon Sossaman, we have Charlie Tahan,
Hope Davis.
Hope Davis is coming back. Melissa Leo, yeah, we said. And then Jason, his character is going to be playing an integral part in season 2 as well. So
Jason Higgins.
Yeah,
It's Jason.
I'm coming. Yeah.
We have Nimrod too.
Oh yeah,
Nimrod Carr.
Nimrod Carr, who plays Jason Patric's wife.
Wonderful.
Yeah, she's a great actress.
Yeah, we hired an Indian actress. No confidence. All right, she's a great actress.
I mean, as a fan of the show, a lot of these names that you're saying for the returning people are people that we saw die last year. Are you? I mean, I know you're not going to say how they come back, but what can we expect when we see these faces come back? Are you going to introduce them in some crazy ways?
Well, actually, I don't think that any of them. You're talking about like Terrence and things like that.
Right.
Well, the basic premise of the thing, it takes place in 2 time periods, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's always the flashback to us now, and what we were before the abductions happened, and why, how did this happen? Why were you taken? Why was he taken? What was his character? Why? And by the way, he's such a cool character. It's the coolest character when you find out what's going on with him. But that's all in different time periods, So you're always talking about 2 different casts, one that once was before and one that is now. So it's just natural.
Yeah.
It's important to us to not just, it's a new season in a lot of ways, feels like a new show and a new start, but we didn't want to just pretend like none of those other characters existed, and we wanted to honor all the work they had done in the first season and to bring those storylines to a close.
Season 1 actually used time as a big storytelling element, so we want to do that with season 2 as well. So.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And I think beyond, just the time element in that shift, there was a very specific canon that Blake created with the science fiction and the rules of this world, and it was very intelligent, and it all held together in a beautiful way, and I think we're really respecting that and honoring that as well going forward into this next season, so we're not pulling any punches or doing any crazy tricks. It's very much true to what Wayward Pines is, and that was very important to this whole group.
I have to ask about the Abbeys too, because they were so cool and so terrifying when we saw them last year. When you guys met and talked about kind of the aesthetic for the Abbeys, what were you going for? What did you really want to convey with how they looked and how they acted?
The Abbeys, the Abbeys
Blake looked like Tolstoy.
The Abbeys are us. They are devolved humanity. So we wanted to create, monsters that are repulsive but also familiar in a way. There's something called the uncanny valley. It's sort of this aesthetic idea that when you see something that's almost human but not quite, it creates this sense of revulsion. But fear because it's close to us, but not quite. And I think that was the underlying target of the Abbeys. We wanted to show where humanity could potentially be heading.
What's the makeup process for those actors? It looks like they must spend all morning in the makeup chair getting ready.
I think it's 2 hours, isn't it?
It's a 2 hour process.
Yeah.
Not too bad
Yeah.
as things go.
Yeah.
We kept it pretty naturalistic. We didn't want to do anything that needed a lot of CG or visual effects or anything like that. So find that those things can deliver emotion more powerfully if you can make them work.
And to Blake's point, the more grounded, the more we see ourselves in them, I think the scarier it is as well.
Somebody mentioned in the piece that they're going to be playing an integral role in season 2. What can you kind of say about the journey of the Abbeys, I guess, in season 2?
That's the reason that we wanted to continue the show, is to explore what the Abbeys truly are. They're not just, in season 1 we see them kind of in fleeting glances. They're a big part of the last episode, but we don't really know a lot about them, and they are up to a lot more than we realize. They're not just the monsters beyond the fence. They have very specific goals. This is their planet now, and the opportunity to explore that and to see what our residents of Wayward Pines can do in the face of this mounting knowledge was one of the big reasons we wanted to continue the story.
Jason and Djimon, you guys ready to go up against the Abbeys?
I'm ready for them.
Well, we do want to open it up for some audience questions, so if you do have some, please line up behind the mic. But Knight, you did say that, in your meeting with Blake, you wanted a definitive ending for this. Is this a show that can go on 3 seasons, 4 seasons, 5 seasons? Is season 2 it? What can you say about the future?
This is just Blake and I speaking here, so I can't speak for Fox and everybody else in terms of anything. But if we were lucky enough to have a successful second season, it would finish in the 3rd season. That would be the end of the story. We worked it out at my house. It's on the board. It's there for we can't get rid of it. It's on the board.
I have a picture of it on my phone right now.
It's this, and that's it. It's 3 seasons, and it's it. And I think that will create a great sense of, stay with us and stay confident that we're moving towards something. We're all everything is aiming towards an end point. And you can feel that in the genetics when you see a story being told. Do they know where their end is? And so that's what we wanted to do.
Blake, you got to hold on to that phone. You can't lose that phone.
You get mugged.
Well, we'd love to open it up for your questions, so we'll start right here.
Hello. All right. Thank you for the book, by the way.
Welcome.
So I went to NYU, Tish, so I've been waiting
Yeah.
for Night Shyamalan for years since you never showed up. I loved you so much that they changed my slates. My initials are VM Diaz, and they changed them to VM Shamiyaz.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, my question is...
She enjoyed that over there.
Exactly. Are you going to have any cameos acting on it, since you do that so much in your films?
Yeah.
Like maybe the guy, from Science who was...
I'm going to let you in on
driving over to
something.
the
I'm the 4th Abbey that at the end of season 1. You have to go and get scrolled through it. You can tell I'm really buff, so you can that one that's super buff, that was me, right? No, actually not. I don't think so. I'm very delicate about now, being in something because it's such it pulls you out of the premise, of the reality, and so there's that. It also shoots in Vancouver as well. So maybe if it was in Philly, we'd be like, you'd see me all the time. There's that Indian vendor again. Hot dogs, get your hot dogs.
Well, since you mentioned Vancouver, I want to just briefly touch on the locations too.
Yeah.
Are you guys in Vancouver? Are you in a town outside of Vancouver? I know you in season 1 you had a town, but are you back to that town now?
You guys want to talk about some of the practicals, the fun practicals of it?
Well, we're in Vancouver again, same stages, same studio we shot at, and we've done something interesting with the town of Wayward Pines itself. It used to be in a town called Agassiz up in the mountains outside, about 2 hours out.
Very
of
far
Vancouver.
away, yeah.
Yeah, so now we got lucky this year. You tell them.
Yeah, there was a lot actually right next to the production office, which in season 1, there was a big movie shooting there. I forget which one, it was like Disney movie, but now that's opened up. So we've actually built the town right next
We've recreated the main
town.
street
The main street.
of Wayward Pines, so we can drive in 10 minutes and get over to our set.
It's great. Very cool.
With the magic of movie making,
Yeah.
you can put the mountains right there in the background.
Yeah, we still have the locations and obviously, the
Yeah, we'll be out in the forest
Yeah.
and, in beautiful spots.
Great. Next question, please.